Everyone, before we get started, Vanessa, are you sure you want to sit back there?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order there. Valerie, please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please silence your cell phones. Ms. Settle, have roll call.
Mayor Plummer,
Here.
Commissioner Brooks,
Here.
Commissioner Fields,
Here.
Commissioner Gray,
Here.
Commissioner Withrow.
Here.
We have a quorum and ready for the transaction of business.
Okay, Ms. Miller?
Thank you, Mayor. First item up is number 4, approval of the minutes. We have the April 25th, 2023 meeting minutes. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns on them?
I would move we approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, we have a first reading of an ordinance related to a fiscal 23 budget amendment. Brad?
Thank you. So this will be a 2023 ordinance and an ordinance of the City of Paris, Kentucky, amending the annual budget for the fiscal year July 1st, 2022 through June 30, 2023, estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of the City of Paris. Whereas the Board of Commissioners has reviewed the budgetary revenues and expenses for the City of Paris for the 2023 fiscal year, now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Commissioners of the City of Paris, Kentucky, that the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022 and ending June 30, 2023 be amended as follows. Just to kind of point out a couple numbers here since this is the first reading. I do have a schedule a couple pages back here. So total revenues will be at $10,368,196 on the general fund. I think we are increasing it probably by about $85,000 for this year. One for the purchase and donations of the K9 that was approved in probably I think one of the July meetings, and also bringing in about $65,000 in opioid funds. Total expenditures, there is an increase in total expenditures. I'll go over here a little bit to $10,476,480. That'll give us a potential estimated carry forward balance of $11,053,216. In the utility fund or proprietary fund, total care or starting funding balance is $1,960,588. Revenues are at $17,674,750. There is a slight increase on that for some utility work that was done outside of the community. I think it was about a $45,000 to $60,000 reimbursement. And then total expenditures on the utility fund are at $19,174,045, giving us an estimated fund balance remaining at $461,293. Scrolling on down to page 9, this is kind of the summary of the adjustments proposed for the general fund. So once again, the first couple items here are items that had been approved that were not necessarily in the original budget. The additional K9 at $20,000, school resource officer of $85,200. The new holidays for New Year's Eve and Juneteenth, estimated right around $30,000 for payroll and related benefits. And then also providing a slight increase in the police, fire, and public works for inflationary adjustments, mostly related to utilities, fuel, and also probably to do a catch-up on the health insurance as well too, as far as some of that information was kind of finalized as we were wrapping up the budget last year and may not have made that necessary adjustment. So the next 2 pages for the general fund basically show a line item detail of how we're moving some of the money around to make sure that we are kind of under budget in most of our line items with those increases. And before our next meeting, I'll send out a detail for each one of the departments for you to look at as well too. And then on page 13, you'll see the detail or summarized detail of the increases for the utility fund. Once again, the new holidays approved for New Year's Eve and Juneteenth, right around $10,000 for each one of those new holidays. The emergency repair on the Stoner Creek sewer line for the gravity was $210,000 that was approved, and then also the Main Street sewer line is $36,000. And then actually the electric distribution, where they went to, I think, was it for flood relief or? Can't remember which, yeah, Frankfurt for the wind damage, 23,000, and we actually had been reimbursed for those expenses as well too, so that leads to the 289,000 increase on the utility fund, and then also to have the summarized pages as well on how moving those funds around line by line. So once again, that's the first reading, we'll follow up with the second reading at our next meeting.
Will the numbers change?
There's a potential for maybe in the general fund for the numbers to change a little bit slightly, but it will just be moving.
Shouldn't be anything drastic, okay.
No, it'll just be moving from department to department, not necessarily showing any kind of an increase.
All right, good deal. Thank you, Brett.
Are there any other questions or comments on this item? Okay, thank you. That does move us to the second reading of ordinance 2023-3, which is a ordinance relating to code enforcement. We've had 2 first readings on this. Miss Andrea has presented on this item. Brian, did you want to summarize anything?
Yeah, I think we're ready to go. Obviously, we've put in a lot of work over the last, well, some of us for 6 months and some of us for longer than 6 months. I know Andrew's been working on this for quite some time. The only really matter maybe to decide today, other than voting on it, is the date for this to take effect. So I believe the county is having second reading this week. North Middletown has not yet had their 2 readings. So I think that will be the last one to take effect. The way it's currently written is that it takes effect immediately upon execution and publication in the paper. So we don't have a hard date in there, which gives us the flexibility. So if you all are comfortable, assuming you pass this today, then we just wait and not execute it and not publish it until that timing works out. And then we'll have the appointments made.
When does North Middletown meet?
I don't know.
Okay. Once or twice a month, or?
They meet once a month.
It's once,
So
yeah.
we anticipate May and June. We do have the appointments on the agenda today. We said with a tentative effective date of July 1.
I would move we approve this with the effective date July 1.
Second.
Stephanie, can you call the roll?
Mayor Plummer,
Yes.
Commissioner Brooks,
Yes.
Commissioner Fields,
Yes.
Commissioner Gray,
Yes.
Commissioner Withrow.
Yes.
Motion carries.
That brings us to second reading of ordinance 2023-4, which is an amendment, an ordinance approving the changes to the personnel policy related to holidays and accruals. So this is an ordinance to the personnel policy where we would be not only recognizing the Juneteenth and the New Year's Eve that we have been doing in the last few years, the New Year's Eve, but some cleanup work as well, for example, related to Veterans Day, making sure we're recognizing it on the actual holiday. On the accruals, and we discussed this last time as well, that they're in recognition for police, fire, dispatch who do not receive the holiday pay. There is some proposed adjustment to their monthly accrual rates. We also have some cleanup related to our captains and making sure that they're accruing at the rate of a salaried employee rather than a shift employee.
Is this a first reading or a second reading?
This is the second reading. Are there any questions on this item?
I move we approve.
Second.
Motion and second, any further questions? Brian, did you have anything you wanted to add on that one? Stephanie, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Brooks,
Yes.
Commissioner Fields,
Yes.
Commissioner Gray,
Yes.
Commissioner Withrow,
Yes.
Mayor Plummer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. That does bring us to consent agenda. We do have 11 items, items A through K on consent today to be considered. Are there any items you guys would like to have removed and discussed individually? Hearing none, may I
I
get a-
just have a
Yes.
question. The appointment to the planning and zoning, who is that?
Mr. Daly, Jason Daly, we met with him the other day. You want to speak to that?
I forgot where
He works for the technical college, in Winchester.
Okay.
Yeah, he was very interested and wanted to serve, so I think he'd be a good addition.
He's a resident of Paris.
Yes.
Yes. And this was one that we took, we advertised out for
Yes,
all of
some
them.
people
and
signed
took
up.
interest for it.
All right. I would make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to our regular agenda, which we have one item for the approval of this year's insurance plans. I do have Benji here from BIM. He's with our broker and assisted us through this process. I'll go ahead and summarize the results of him investigating the market for us, and then he can add anything, and we're available for any questions you may have. So Humana is leaving the employer market group next year, which presented us with some difficult choices to make sure that we were taking on the appropriate level of risk. And so they had quoted us with about a 20% increase, and knowing that they were leaving the market, we're recommending that we move away from them this year instead of next year. So after some back and forth negotiations, staff is recommending that we renew with United Healthcare. It is a 7.5% adjustment increase. So this rate will cost the city approximately an additional $71,000 annually. That is currently accounted for in our budget estimations, which we have not completely balanced the budget, but it is currently accounted for in our estimates. We work to make sure the benefits are as closely aligned to the current benefits as possible. There are some slight modifications, and you guys do have those summaries that highlights those changes. With medical, the other thing that I wanted to bring to the table to discuss is we did a brief analysis of our dependent care coverage. And one thing that we're seeing is our HSA cost is going up, but the PPO plan, which is the buy-up plan, the cost is not going up as drastically, so it's actually a rate reduction for the employees. So we did a brief analysis and looked at current dependent coverage level, and if we went to, currently we cover 70% of dependent care for employees. If the city adjusted that to 73%, we'd be looking to keep the employee deduction about equal. It's actually a slight reduction, which would be an additional $13,000 cost to the city this year. That is also currently captured in our budget estimates, which I believe for that amount, that would be a great benefit to be able to continue to extend. On dental, we are recommending moving to Delta Dental with a decrease rate of 3%. There is some change in the way that's structured, so even though it is a decrease overall rate, the city pay portion is increasing just slightly because we pay for the employee-only coverage, but we estimate that about $250 a year. So all of these rates are accounted for in our current budget estimates. This is also a 2-year rate guarantee, so the employees will see a decrease in their rates. The vision insurance has been quoted as a flat renewal, a 0% adjustment, the vision insurance under our current plan was a flat renewal. However, we are bundling with United Healthcare, with the medical provider that we're proposing, and that is coming in as a 6% decrease in proposed rates. So employees will see a decrease in their vision rate as well. That is a 3-year rate guarantee. So we're pretty excited to see some rate guarantees along with some decreases, especially related to what our loss ratios we're looking at. Is that's a pretty aggressive renewal for loss ratios that are above the 100% mark. So, and then life insurance, which we have with Standard, is a 0% flat rate, and we're recommending renewal with Standard Insurance as well. So overall, the recommendation is to go with United Healthcare for medical, Delta Dental for dental, United Healthcare for vision, and Standard for life insurance. Benji, did you have anything you wanted to add on top of that?
You did a great job summarizing several months worth of work there. That was great. I did want to highlight, as you mentioned, Humana is exiting the market. it's not just Kentucky, it's nationally. It just speaks to how difficult healthcare is and expenses and controlling costs. They're not just exiting the market, they were not able to sell that block of business. So that block of business will just erode off the books. As you come up for renewal beginning next January, if your employer hasn't found you other coverage, then you won't have a renewal to go forward with. So it left us in the position undoubtedly to make a transition. The situation that employers with 50 or more employees will face if they don't have coverage secured by the time they renew next year is you can be declined for coverage and find yourself in a very difficult spot. So Humana's block was just unprofitable for them over the years. They're going to remain in the Medicare business and the vision and dental and other ancillary coverage, but they're eliminating all self-funding and employer-based health care off of their books of business, leaving us primarily with United and Anthem in the state of Kentucky with some other on the fringe carrier options, I would say, that are good carriers, just not predominant in Kentucky.
And along that line, we made sure that the Bourbon Community Hospital would be included in this. We wanted to make sure that there was not a large interruption to our local service providers. So that was important that we looked at that as well.
How do we notify our employees about the changes?
Sure, so we will hold open enrollment, and that is currently slated for the week of June, we're going to be doing it June 5th through June 9th. So it's, not only will we send out communication to everybody with the new rates, the new plans, but it will be a mandatory open enrollment, especially with us switching providers, which means everybody will have to fill out an enrollment notification. They'll have to make an election. So we do 3.5 days of sit-down meetings where employees can come in. BIM is assisting us with putting together a brief video. That way everybody gets the same explanation of their benefits. And then American Fidelity assists us to come in and they talk about the plans that they offer for ancillary. And we go through it with them and make those elections.
Will they come in through their departments, or do they come in just when they have free time to come in, or?
It'll be during their workday that
Okay.
they'll come in.
Okay.
Sounds good. I know a lot of work went into this.
Well, we appreciate all the support from BIM. And like I mentioned, I was looking at where our loss ratios are. I was pretty pleased that while the medical's an increase, I know I've been sharing with you guys some of our loss ratio history over the last couple of months when we receive it. And so pleased to be able to bring this forward to you.
I would move we approve the 23-24 insurance plans.
If I may seek one clarification on that item for the motion, we discussed the potential, or I put out the potential of increasing the dependent coverage. Is that part of your motion that you'd be interested in? Okay.
Yes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any other questions? Sonia, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Fields,
Yes.
Commissioner Gray,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Woodrow,
Yes.
Mayor Plummer,
Yes.
Commissioner Brooks.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And I do appreciate the support for the additional increase in dependent coverage. I think that's one of the things that, since I've been here, I've heard, and while this provides us slight relief for our employees, I think it shows that we're trying to move that needle forward. So I do appreciate you supporting the employees in that aspect.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. We do not have any outside agencies here today. Is there anything from city staff?
You got anything?
Stephanie?
Vanessa, you see the staff today?
It's the after meeting. Miss Stephanie?
I don't have anything.
Well, I do no surprise, so, just briefly, tourism was not able to be here today. They are doing, they received some grant funding, I can't quote for you how much or who through, but they did receive some grant funding, which allows them to have some assistance with some advertising costs. Part of that is that they do have a photographer to come in and take professional video and photos of Paris and Bourbon County. So Ms. Betty Ann did ask that I pass along that today at 3 o'clock that they will be at the Wallace House Gardens And then 3:30, they are supposed to be at the distillery. And tomorrow at 10:30, they're supposed to be at Claiborne Farms. So if you would like to go and pose and, be a visitor as part of the photography, she passed along that she would love to see some of you join her. I will be at training the rest of this week, and then KYMEA is part of next week, but always available. And the last thing that I have, and I've mentioned this, is we've had some discussions about our collections and distribution crew who currently has a small space in a garage in the wastewater plant as well as a picnic table. We have the Safety City building that has not been utilized for a number of years, and even though we've come back from the COVID drain, we're just not getting the interest. So that building has been unused for quite a while. So Chief Duffy has been very gracious to say that that space could be used to provide those employees a workspace. It's probably not the permanent solution, but we do believe it is a good temporary solution for us. It provides them a space that has restroom facilities, air conditioning, things like that. So we are going to be making that transition. So with that will come things like currently the electric gets paid out of the fire department. It'll move over to the utility department. So you might see some shifting in that as far as accounting goes, but we're going to move in that direction unless there are any concerns with that.
That's great.
Good deal. Yeah, they deserve someplace to come in.
With that in mind, are you looking into the future of trying to find them a more permanent?
Yeah, it's a good location because it is right outside the wastewater plant.
Right.
I think to build a building for them likely would not be in this next budget year, but I think
Of
as
course,
we
yeah.
move forward, we're always going to be looking for what does the future of that look like. There's some discussions on the table of should they be their own department versus wrapped under the wastewater plants, and
Right.
so I think a lot of that is contingent upon organizationally which way we move into, but
Okay.
if they become their own department, we likely at some point would recommend that they have a building that is built for
Okay.
them.
Good.
That's it for me.
I have nothing.
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 No, I don't have any.
Don't you dare.
I would move we adjourn.
I'd second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Wow,
22 minutes.